You're listening to Crystal and Emily on Love Your Shelf, the best librarian podcast in the extensive and highly competitive field of librarian podcasts. Hello.
Oh, hello.
We're here with episode 3.4 of Love Your Shelf. And I've got some books, of course, that I want to talk about today, but these are, again, some that haven't been published yet, but they're going to be published soon. So I'm not just trying to tease everybody with this. And then I have some shows that I want to talk about, good and bad. And then, I'd like to indulge my weird interests, so I'll conclude with
the weird interest.
The weird thing. Yeah, the weird interest.
So everyone can turn us off.
Yes.
If they aren't into the
weird interests. If you're not into
interests.
that. Or you can just skip right ahead to the end.
Oh, right,
if that's
right,
all
right.
you're interested in.
Yeah, we should have markers for when the weird interest begins.
We do need to like some sort of siren or warning
weird
sound.
interest section.
The first book that I want to talk about is The Stickler's Guide to Science in the Age of Misinformation, the real science behind hacky headlines, crappy clickbait, and suspect sources by R. Philip Bouchard. And that's a mouthful.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of information in the title, and I don't really need to read the book after that.
Yeah. The end.
I'll just exactly. Anyway, I don't know. I like long titles sometimes. And I love, like, a short title with a long subtitle that you don't necessarily know.
An unnecessarily long subtitle, I'm all about, yes.
But I don't know about this one, so
this is...
we're reserving judgment so far.
Yeah.
But, basically, this author takes 13 things that they call pervasive scientific untruths. And then they kind of debunk them. Or bunk them? No, they debunk them. When you're going back, when you're working backwards, it seems like
the bunking.
They got bunked first. And so it's one of those that's like a trend in nonfiction now. It's pretty light reading,
right?
But it's pseudo heavy.
Yeah,
and which I can handle it.
Right, right.
It's not necessarily my favorite kind of reading, but you do learn some things usually from that. And I don't know.
And next book. Just
kidding.
kidding.
And we'll move on. But no, it's pretty good. But it's like they take on things like right brain versus left brain. That was a big thing, like in the 70s and 80s, and superfoods. People are still always talking about eat your handful of blueberries and it'll save your life or whatever.
Yep.
Or is it? Really? So
have we learned much?
Of course we are in the home of the Blueberry Festival. So the answer is yes.
It will.
Yep.
Eat your blueberries, folks.
Yeah. Save your life. So anyway, so I don't know that I think I would recommend that for somebody that likes that kind of book.
Okay.
And something that you can just pick up in digestible chunks too, because it's kind of all these different sections based on different untruths. And then the next book I want to talk about is called Our Country Friends by Gary Shteyngart. And this author is a funny guy.
I like the title. I don't know why it's funny to me, but I like the title.
Yeah. Well, it kind of takes on the approach and like voice and tone a little bit of like a Russian novel. So it starts out with like the list of the characters, and one is like a Russian whatever,
Nice.
socialite or something. And so it takes on this tone of like the historical Russian novel. But it's actually set in March 2020.
Oh.
And right. So a group of friends ends up in a country house during the pandemic.
Oh.
And my sister and I have been going through this like ongoing argument for the past year of, do we want to read pandemic stories yet? And her answer is a resounding no. If there is anything about it, she'd close the book, put it down. Don't want to do it. Yeah.
Like if I had read Station 11 during all of this, it would have like been my downfall.
Maybe
well,
so.
And
and
I don't know. At the same time, it does sort of lighten. Because at least we haven't 98% of people haven't died yet.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, I am such a pessimist. Let's be clear.
Yeah. We're not in covered wagons, you know, performing Shakespeare.
Right.
Where, you know.
I mean, when that day comes, I will step into the spotlight if I must, but...
you have your costumes ready.
Yep.
That's the one thing that you're going to save at the end of the world is like your bag of tricks.
I got my monologues ready, folks.
So I can't wait.
But we're not
I almost want to see where this is going to go.
My one woman traveling Shakespeare show.
Anyway, everybody's signed up for this.
Yeah.
They're like, this is what's going to keep me from dying.
They're like, so is this on Eventbrite or do I sign up?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we're not there yet. That's what I'm getting at.
Yes. If you haven't read Station 11, if you're not concerned about pandemic reading, you should definitely read it because it's awesome.
Yes, it's so awesome.
But this one is like during our own current situation. So that's, I think, what my sister doesn't like. She doesn't want to read about like what we're actually going through at the moment.
That is me. Yeah.
And I kind of agree. I've read several things that have done that. But it's like, can you really reflect on something that you're in the midst of?
Right.
Can you?
Yeah.
I don't think I can.
I
even though we've gone all through all these ups and downs over the last year and a half.
No, emotions are still high.
Yeah. I was thinking about that, just how, like, just a few months ago, we all got really tickled when we would, call it a panorama.
Yeah.
Or a pandemonium.
Panera bread.
Instead of a pandemic. But now you don't hear people doing that anymore. It's like that sense of, like, I don't know, thumbing your nose at death or something is kind of not.
Yeah, no, it kind of took an even darker turn.
Little turn. Anyway, so we're not going to dwell on that either during this podcast, but that's what the book is about. And so, so and of course it's friends from, there's a Russian novelist, there's this Indian American writer, and so it's very multicultural, and of course there's like a movie star, so it's big personalities, big egos.
Yeah.
And Gary Steingart I've been reading his work for a long time. I think his first book came out in like 2002 or 2004, somewhere in there. And I was convinced at a certain point, until this book, it made me go back and look at things again because I wanted to see if this still held true.
Right.
But I was convinced for years that depending on what his book was about, that's how he would, in a kind of subtle way, adjust his portrait on the covers of the book. So like he has one that's like I can't remember that, it's the Russian something or other, and he's got like a hat on,
Love it.
And just subtle like you can, he's kind of a quirky looking guy anyway, but I just was convinced that he was just like kind of tweaking with messing with people a little bit. But today, and this is maybe tells more about my own mindset, but I was like, I want to see, because I couldn't see the cover or like what his actual photograph looks like on the cover, because this is a pre-published book in digital form.
Right.
So I can't look at it. But it made me go pull the books that we have from the shelf and look back to see if this is still something.
Oh my gosh, yes, love it.
And I think that the differences that I was noticing were just merely age. Like, he's just getting old.
You're like, look at this guy.
15 years ago, I was
like,
15 years ago, I was like, he's a master of disguise.
Look, his hair is different. Yeah, he got a haircut. That was 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh. It just really, I wouldn't say it shook me to my core, but I really did have some kind of realization.
That's not dramatic or anything.
I was just like, oh, he's just getting old.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah. Just put him back on the shelf.
I love that.
So that's where my mind is. But I definitely recommend him. He's a good writer.
That's so hilarious.
And worth reading, totally.
Well, maybe he'll hear this and get some ideas and start doing
He'll just do that?
Yeah.
That would make my entire life.
Or we should steal that idea.
Well, first we have to write some books.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
that, but...
Don't get bogged down in the minutia of the plan.
Yeah. The real art here is the portraits.
We're just going to do a bunch of author photos. Like in the park or whatever. They're always doing some
turtlenecks. So on it.
This is also in your bag of tricks.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last book that I want to talk about, everybody's probably like, "Are you talking about books at
I know.
all?"
What were we talking about?
This is how it goes. But Martita, I Remember You by Sandra Cisneros is coming out in just a couple of weeks. And of course...
And who is Sandra Cisneros?
Well, let me tell you. She wrote a little book called, what is it again?
The House on Mango Street!
Yes, our big read for the year, which is about to be underway in October. So if you're listening to this after October, you missed out. It was amazing.
We had the time of our lives. You should be sad.
Yeah. But if you're listening to it before, you can still be a participant, and you can kind of get a free copy of the book. Then you can read it. Then you can then come to all of these amazing events that we're going to have.
And get ready for the time of your life.
Yes, because it's about to happen.
Yep.
But this book, I think Cisneros has a really unique voice, and that seems to come through in everything that she writes. And so, like in The House on Mango Street, it's sort of in these small... people just use the term vignette, but I don't know if it's always...
Right.
Exactly a vignette, but basically
Right.
these small chunks, small sections, and it starts off in this case with a woman finding a letter from 10 or 15 years before, and then wanting to sort of reconnect with this person.
Okay.
And so I don't want to say too much about it because I think everybody should read it, and they're going to want to come get copies.
Yeah.
And we'll have them, I'm sure, as soon as we can. So we will have copies of Martita, I Remember You, as soon as they're published, or shortly thereafter. There have been a few supply chain things that are going on with our book distributor. In reference to the pandemonium that's going on. And so hopefully they'll be here, but a couple of weeks is when it's supposed to come out.
Yeah, no, I'm interested.
Yeah. And so I will now talk about this is how you transition
That's
things.
right.
Folks.
And now
the shows I've been watching doesn't have quite the weight and the heft.
TV.
Yeah. But we don't call it TV anymore because I don't watch television necessarily, right?
No, I watch Roku.
Right. I use whatever the Amazon version is.
Fire Stick.
Fire Stick. Yeah. I never know what all the things are.
I don't know. I can't keep up.
Yes. Anyway, but I have been watching a show called For All Mankind. Which is on Apple Plus.
Oh, okay. That is like the one big one that I don't have, and there are
That's the one I didn't have for a while, but then I had compiled a few things I wanted to see on it, and so I bit the bullet and went ahead.
Because I really want to watch Ted Lasso. Is that the one? And then I've heard of this one. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it starts out. I think there's 3 seasons. I've only watched the first season so far, but Joel Kinnaman is one of the main characters, and he plays an astronaut. And the very first episode, so I'm not spoiling anything, in the very first episode, it's during the space race in 1969, I guess. And instead of the United States landing on the moon, it was the Russians.
Oh.
And so that seems like minor history detail, because that was neck and neck there for a while. But then that really sends things into a completely different chain of events. And so it seems like the further that it goes from that point, the more changes kind of come from that.
I like that.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that that's how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Maybe it's going to stay as kind of like alternate history, but it's not really science fiction
Right.
at this point.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, but I
Interesting.
feel like things are kind of ramping up
Yeah.
as it goes further.
Yeah. Because did you ever watch the show Amazon? It's an Amazon show about, I think it's if Germany had won.
Yes.
Well, what's the show
That's
called?
the Man in the High Castle.
High Castle.
Yes.
Yes.
Whatever.
Man in the High Castle. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's one that I've always been interested in watching too. Yeah, just that sort of what if this happened
Right.
concept is forever
Yes.
intriguing.
But that one there is, spoiler alert, there is an element of some kind of supernatural detail in that. It's not just like,
it's
if this happened, there's a whole other overarching kind of thing.
Sure.
But it is very good.
Yeah.
Very good show.
Okay, cool.
Watch it.
Got it.
Watch both of them
Okay.
this weekend.
Homework. She's my boss.
That's what you gotta do. So then I watched something that's maybe not as successful, and harking back to this title, Clickbait is the title of this of this show, and it's on Netflix. And Zoe Kazan plays the main character, and Adrian Grenier is her older brother.
Okay.
And the premise is that she's kind of wild, and she kind of overplays it a little bit. That was the only thing that really kind of struck me. Overwrought women, it's hard for me to watch it. Overwrought anybody, but typically that's what sometimes happens with female characters.
Yeah.
So it just kind of put me out of it a little bit. But
I'm with you.
yeah. And so she dramatically doesn't have her phone, loses it, or damages it, and then finds out that her brother appears to be kidnapped because he's a grown man. He's like, older than her. And he shows up in this video online with a sign saying, "I abuse women," and then...
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The guy from Entourage is
Yes.
in it.
Yeah,
I didn't know who. Okay, got it.
Yeah. And so, and then it says, "At 5 million views, I die." And so, of course, they're watching the video over and over to, try to figure out what, the details from it. But as it goes, and then, of course, it goes viral, and so people start watching it, people start talking about it.
Oh my gosh, how stressful.
Right. And so it did. It kind of gave me the shivers of what that must be like for something like that. Not a kidnapping situation, but anything like that where somebody has something released in that way that it's just snowballs so quickly, in the space of hours.
Well, and this reminds me, I never watched this, but Nick watched it and told me about it. But it was an episode of Black Mirror where something happens where, it's a situation where it's on Twitter and the more views...
Yes.
I don't know, somebody dies or something crazy.
Yes.
And just that idea of, how it's out of your control.
Yes. Black Mirror I've had to step away from it for, a year at a time.
I've only seen a few episodes, and they were relatively tame episodes, and I still was like, woo, what a ride. And Nick was like, let me tell you about this one that I watched. There are some crazy ones.
Yes. Yeah, so, aside from any of this, don't go watching Black Mirror unless
just
you're ready
willy-nilly.
for it.
Yeah, no. Especially...
Take it seriously.
Especially the first episode.
Yeah. But... we'll just leave it at that. We'll go no further. But so they do discover that her brother hasn't shown up at work, and so they're trying to figure out what's going on. So there's some definite intrigue there.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. No, I haven't finished it yet.
Okay.
And I haven't also finished this the next one that is another bizarre one, which is 9 Perfect Strangers.
Yes.
Which is on Hulu.
Yes.
And Nicole Kidman plays this woman who created this resort for a wellness retreat called Tranquillum, which is perfect. That's exactly what that would be called. And there's some really great actors that play these people who they have to apply basically to be able to come to this retreat. And so she kind of collects the ones that she wants, and then sort of experiments in a little bit.
Yeah.
Not in a... Well,
I can't
it's
tell
very
where
vague
it's going
about where
yet.
it's going.
Yeah, and I haven't read the book.
Right.
So yeah, I know nothing. All I know is that it gets weird.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's enough to know.
Yeah. And I think I missed this last week's episode.
Yeah, I think maybe 8, and I've seen 6 of them or something.
Yeah,
like
I think
that.
maybe we've only seen 5 or something. But yeah, I do like how like each episode just gets like adds a little hint of weirdness.
Yes.
Like where you're just sort of like,
Yeah.
it's a little skin crawly, but not.
It's like the other show. It's like For All Mankind.
Right, okay,
because
yes.
it was like it just
Something's
very
off.
slow. And a lot of shows don't do that, especially these days. It seems like that is less and less done because they have such shorter runs.
Yep.
Like, regular old school television, like when we were young, there'd be 25, 30 episodes in a season or more. And now there's like 8. And so they don't tend to take as much time developing stuff.
Dive right in.
And, but I'm really enjoying that trend now.
Yeah.
And this one is definitely, it also like rides this line of comedy and drama.
Yeah.
Maybe horror, but you don't know
But
that.
again, that's
It's
the part
very
that I can't tell yet. Yeah.
And so, but I mean, very vague. I would not say that, this is a horror show at all, but
Totally.
but it's very funny.
But
it's also
because
creepy.
What's
And there's
her
sad
name?
things.
What's her name? Is one of the lead?
Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, Melissa McCarthy. Which I wouldn't have picked her necessarily, but who am I? Not a casting director.
Right.
But I'm not like mad about it. I guess it's unexpected.
Yeah, but everybody. I think the whole cast is great. And you recognize all of them. Some of them are just character actors, but you'll know who they are.
Like the woman, this shows how mature and I recognize one of the women from Scary Movie, like the Scary Movie movies.
Oh.
And she is hilarious to me, and I let her character's really funny too. It's very different than anything I've seen her in, but she's good.
Yes.
And I wish I knew her name to give her the credit. Sorry.
Is it Regina Hall? Maybe.
Oh.
I
Maybe.
think it is. Because she's the woman whose husband left her.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. That's
not a big spoiler or anything.
No. You find that out in the first episode. But anyway, definitely good.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend it. The next thing that I watched, and it's also not done, is Only Murders in the Building.
I was
on
waiting.
Hulu.
I thought you might have. We started it too. We caught up last night. And last night's, the last episode was a real cliffhanger.
Yeah, I think I only watched the first 3. Maybe.
Okay, cool. The fourth one it ends on a great note, but I'm like ready for the next one. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. There is definitely that line where I'm like, I do like the way things are done with like just being able to watch it all. So when you don't get that,
I know.
It's a little annoying.
Sometimes I want it. Yeah.
So sometimes I'll just put it all off until it's all out and then watch it.
Yeah.
But there's a few that I just don't have the patience for doing that.
I hear you.
But this show is on Hulu, and it's created by Steve Martin and stars Martin Short and Selena Gomez.
Yep.
Which I think is kind of odd. And I can see what they were going for, having a young woman in this as like the foil for them. Mm-hmm. But she has such a little sweet baby face.
I know.
And she plays a very like tough
edgy
character.
like apathetic seeming character. Yeah, and I don't
know where it's going. Maybe it'll make sense.
That's my
in the end.
Yeah, same.
But for now, it's just like I don't buy her as like I've had a rough life.
I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, but I'm with you. Yeah. Or because I am just kind of like, what are you upset about?
It's Steve Martin and Martin Short there.
They're both fantastic. Martin Short. I love both of them, but Martin Short specifically in this one.
And they're
series.
always, and like Steve Martin is usually like the straight man for that stuff, and Martin Short is just like, out of control. And he is a little bit, but he really has it kind of... it's a little more realistic,
he's had some
too.
serious moments, but
Yeah.
but he does play a director, so he's still,
Yeah.
fabulous.
Yeah. It's very funny. And, of course, something happens in the building where these people... It's like a fancy New York building, right? And there's a murder that's in the title.
In the title.
And they decide that they're going to then make their fame back again. Like they're going to, come back to their glory days by having a true crime podcast. And we love our true crime podcasts around here. And you cannot throw a rock without hitting a true crime podcast.
It's so true.
So it is kind of funny that they think
They could
this
get
is how we're gonna...
famous. I know.
Right.
It's
everybody has a
not
true
the days
crime
of
podcast.
Serial anymore, when it was just Sarah Koenig was like the only one.
Right. And that was what, like 8 years ago?
Yeah, not that long ago.
So it is good. And I definitely want to see how it ends, and it's building in a way that's keeping me, intrigued.
Yeah, no, same.
And then the next couple of things are all things that are now in their season 3. For some reason, everything I was like, oh, season 3 of this. Oh, it's season 3 of that. And so one is What We Do in the Shadows. It's on Hulu.
Yeah.
And it's not the full season. I think they just dropped a couple of episodes. Yeah. Which, again.
I know. Grace and Frankie.
Yes, that was mean. But What We Do in the Shadows is... You almost have to know, like, you have to be, like, if you're fans of, like, Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah.
Or that kind of thing. This Australian troupe of people that seems to, like... then you really think it's funny.
Like, because did you see the movie?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. That came out a while ago.
Yeah. So there's a movie that this is based on. And it's about this trio of... it's 4 of them.
Okay.
Of vampires, and then their familiar who...
Yes, their human familiars.
Their human familiar who takes care of them.
Yes.
And there's a big twist in season 3 at the end of season 2, there's a big twist that's kind of exploring that in season 3.
Nice.
But it is wacky.
Yeah.
And it can be gross.
It's vampires living in the modern world. I
Right.
mean, these vampires who are like hundreds of years old living today and wearing their crazy clothes and...
Yes. And it's full-on comedy.
Yeah.
But it's also, a little gross and, you just have to...
in a very, like, theatrical, over-the-top way.
Right. But it is funny. Mm-hmm. And then there's season 3 of... Now, these next couple are just, like, when I don't want to focus on the panorama.
Yeah.
Or the Panera
Bread.
And just want to watch something that's uplifting.
Yeah.
There was a season 3 of Making It on Hulu. We've got our makerspace. We do Maker Camp. And this is, like, the TV show for makers.
Yeah.
It's like it's a competition show. Mm-hmm. And it's Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman who are the hosts of it. And it's just like happy, fun hour.
It is. Everyone like supports each other.
Yeah,
I forgot I
they don't
watched
even
the
really
first
compete.
Season. I know.
They're all just,
There's like, wow, good job. That's so cool that you made that. I hope you win.
It's just refreshing, And then the other one that I was watching too is called Glow Up, the next makeup star.
Is it fun?
It's fun. And
I've never seen it.
I had not seen the previous seasons, but I was like, oh, well, season 3, I guess.
Season 3, all right. It's established.
But, it's also good.
Cool.
But in a different way. And it's not like, am I watching this intently the entire episode?
Sure.
Or am I skipping to the end to see what the looks
like the
are?
ultimate, the looks at the end. Yeah, totally.
A little bit of that.
Yep.
But it's also good. And then the last thing I want to talk about is, here we go. So, cutting to my weird interest.
Oh, excellent.
Time.
All right, here it is, folks. Sign off if you're not interested.
And I do have weird interests, and I like finding out about, like, pseudo secret stuff. And so I was amazed that I didn't know anything about this.
Yeah.
And it's completely new to me, unless I just forgot about it, which is also,
I was gonna say, for me, that's
as
possible.
I said, where I'm getting older. At least my author photographs are getting older. in real life.
Doing some good work.
Age
there.
in the other direction. So this is a fictional secret organization called the SCP Foundation. And it's this like web-based collaborative fiction project. And SCP stands for Secure, Contain, Protect. And so it's just bonkers.
Love it.
And so on this website, this SCP Foundation captures and contains this like supernatural phenomena
Okay.
of various kinds. But basically it's like bonkers stuff, and then they write like a story about it.
Okay.
You know? But it's presented as though it's that's not stories, but rather like entries in this like catalog of these
like
things
very
that they've
serious,
Yes.
secret.
found. Yes, and they're all like SCP 12, SCP 134, or whatever. And so they call them SCP objects or skips.
Skips.
If you're in the know.
Uh-huh.
And they could, if left uncontained, be harmful to humans and or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
They could be dangerous.
Okay.
And so, just to give you an idea, some of the ones, and some of these remind me of the book, the House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. And in the House of Leaves, the conceit is that this person finds these tapes of this family, and then the story is kind of then about the family and like this unraveling and this like mysterious thing that happens.
Cool.
In the House of Leaves, the story is that this family buys a house, and then somehow they're measuring or doing something. They find out that the inside is bigger than the outside when they measure it. And so they keep... Yeah. It's not fun, though.
I mean, crazy,
Yeah.
but that gets your mind to turn.
Exactly, yeah.
I'll say that.
Exactly. And so, you know, but this is all stuff recorded because the family, the father is a videographer or something, or a journalist. So he's recording their process of like exploring this house and how that could be and what, you know, what's causing this weird thing.
Yeah.
And then they find a door that they open it, and there's just like endless. It goes nowhere. Like they end up like kind of spelunking into it, and it's a whole crazy thing.
Oh my goodness.
And so the very first thing that or the ones that I saw on this, it's a skip, was SCP-087, which is a staircase that goes on forever. And so it is this weird staircase is inhabited by this creature, something.
Yeah.
They don't know. They
I was
only
gonna
ever.
say, do you know, or you like?
It's kind of presented as just like this. Like you can see
It's
an
all a
image of it as
question
just
mark.
like
Got it.
like a staircase that's
Okay,
very dark
okay.
and you can't see. But there's something there that's like making the sounds and stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, but the thing is, like, if it becomes a skip, if they contain it, then they have, like, I don't know if they contain it, like, they rope off the physical presence of it, or if they've got the video of it and they keep that somewhere.
Okay.
It depends. It depends on the thing. But one of the other ones is something that causes anyone who examines it to forget its characteristics, and so it's indescribable except in terms of what it is not.
Oh
so
my goodness! So you just it's a process of elimination
I guess.
forever,
infinitely. Yeah.
How funny! I love that concept though.
Yeah.
Like,
and some of them are actually really creepy, and some of them are just silly.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
one is a Nazi bunker system that's only accessible through a portal found in a woman's nose.
Well, and I want like, I need details. I love this.
Yeah.
This is fun.
There's a toaster that can only be referred to in the first person.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
And so some of them are just very silly, but they're all written about, all of these like stories, which are just kind of descriptions of these things, these objects. It's kind of written in a pseudo-scientific way, so
Yeah.
it's like as a report rather than
Again,
like a
very
story.
serious stuff. Yeah.
And so there's thousands of these objects.
Cool.
And there's not any like one kind of central theme, but it's all just sort of this thing that's been contributed to by a bunch of different people.
Cool. Oh, I love that. That's great.
Yeah. So definitely if you're into that kind of thing, you could lose a little time just looking at
Checking
some of
out
these.
the skips.
Yeah. And of course, you know, when you go to the website, it's like, if you don't have permission to be on this site, you know,
Right.
it's very tongue in cheek.
I love it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's my weird interest for the week.
Thank you.
Yeah. Enjoy.
We needed that.
And that wraps up for that's all I have.
Woo!
Yeah. So we're gonna go on about our day.
Friday.
Yeah.
We've been a little kooky. It might be obvious that it's Friday at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's how we've gotten to be these days. But
That might just be permanent.
Yeah. But the plan is to be back again next week with more. I don't know if we'll have. It depends. I hope we have some more weird interests, but we'll at least have other stuff to talk
I'm
about.
expecting a weird interest, so
Okay.
no pressure.
Okay. No promises either. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye!